so excited to have you today, Tomás Díaz de la Rubia, our Senior Vice President of Research and Innovation. I know you're relatively new, but I was so excited when I got to learn a little bit about your international background. And just to reiterate for those who are watching for the first time, we're here just to learn more about how international our institution is, not just in terms of our activities and the scope and our many things that we're doing across the institution, but also in the lives of individuals and how that informs our international outlook as well.
My background is that I was born in Spain, and I found my way to the United States back in 1981, and it's been never looked back.
It's quite a jump, though, for a student from Spain to decide to study in the U.S. Was that something that your family always encouraged to go abroad, or was that some kind of an accident? How did that all happen?
It was a combination of both. It turns out I had relatives in New York. The classic story, the long-lost relatives that left Spain 100 years ago, and all of a sudden you know that they're there, you've never met them. So we came to visit the relatives in New York. And as I said, I was starting college in Spain at the time. And they said, well, why don't you come and spend a year, and be here, you can get to know us and, spend a year here and then go back. I said, that's great. My family encouraged me to do it. And I came to spend a year. And that was 44 years ago almost now.
Well, I know you're quite an engineer as well as a physicist, highly accomplished. But I wondered, how far back did that begin? Did it even start in Spain, or was it more recent as you pursued your education?
No, it started during my childhood. My father was an engineer. He was always tinkering with things, building things, electronics, and all kinds of things. And so I saw it from a very early age. My grandfather was a chemist, who very accomplished scientist and entrepreneur in his own right. And so I saw this my whole life. A lot of my family are scientists and engineers. And so it was very natural for me. I had a lot of interest. Early on, I think when I was, 12 years old or so, my parents bought me a subscription to a magazine that was called Investigación y Ciencia, which is the Spanish translation of Scientific American. And I became fascinated by it. And
at 12 years old, you were reading that magazine.
Yeah. And so around that age, 12, 13, something like that, very early. And I became fascinated by all of it and decided that I was going to be a scientist.
I love that. So how did you choose your undergraduate alma mater? What was that process like for you?
Well, that was in part because of my family in New York. So it was easy to go to the State University of New York in Albany. It was near where they were, and so that was a big part of the choice. And it was great. I mean, it was a fantastic experience. It was difficult. It was scary, right? But it was also fantastic.
I think our international audiences, especially our students, will feel very affirmed to know that the Senior Vice President of Research found their undergraduate experience to be a bit daunting and challenging, that in some ways it does obviously come with being in a very different location, quite far from home. Can you, just for the sake of our listeners and viewers here, what were some of your immediate challenges?
Well, the language is a challenge, right? I mean, you arrive, you studied English in school and in the summers and whatnot. You think you're going to be okay. And then the language is, of course, the first few months, the first year is hard. But, I'll tell you a story about it. My freshman year, the first year I was in college, I took several classes and, calculus and physics, and a lot of those kinds of classes, had formulas on the board. And so formulas are the same in every language. So that was easy, right? But then I took one of these Astronomy 101 general class, which was all reading and, there were no formulas, right? It was a very general thing. That was the hardest class because, there were no formulas. I had to understand the language, right? And be able to follow everything in class, and that was very hard.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So that was the challenge, right? The challenge, more than anything else, was the language.
Yeah, and I think that really reflects much of what I'm hearing from our international students. Even, you may study English, but the accent may, and New York has lots of different accents, right? But as well as some of the areas that secondary school may not have provided training for in some of our gen eds. And so it's good to know that, whoever's watching, that they're not the only one. And so then your undergraduate experience as an international student certainly must have shaped how you view and support our own international students on campus, having had that direct experience.
No, no doubt about it. I mean, I actually, the first year lived in the international dormitory. I requested that because it was actually really interesting. Every room had two people in it, and one was American, the other one was international. And that was a great environment to get to know both U.S. culture and at the same time still live in an international environment and learn about all the students from all parts of the world that were studying there. It was very, very interesting.
Tomás, I know you've gotten lots of awards throughout your career, and I heard that there was an undergraduate award that was particularly meaningful, especially at that young age. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. I mean, that was a great honor to receive that, the undergraduate, whatever it was called, Research Excellence Award or something. The fact was that one of the reasons why I never went back, and I kept going to college here, was the opportunity for undergraduate research. From very, very early on, I was able to go into a physics lab and work there and learn from faculty, from graduate students, from postdocs about how to do research. And I became fascinated with it. And so I was able, through my undergraduate years, to do summer internships and do research every year from my sophomore year onwards. I had an internship at GE Research Labs, GE R&D, New York, for 2 years. And that research is what led to essentially an undergraduate honors thesis on a research project that had to do with semiconductors and new ways to understand corrosion and things like that. So it sort of gave me, I knew I wanted to be a scientist, but it gave me the practical way of understanding what it meant to do research. And so, again, that was one of those experiences in life that transform you, right? That's when I really understood what being a scientist was like and what being a researcher was going to be like.
And so I think, especially given your vantage point, you've seen a growing demand for international education, students coming from abroad, particularly to study in U.S. universities. Why is that happening, and what makes U.S. institutions so special?
I think it's the research, honestly. I think it's the fact that, American universities are creators of new knowledge, and that creates an environment in which the students can flourish tremendously. There's no other place in the world that has the same quality of education because of the research enterprise at the university, because the academic and the research enterprise are intertwined in the American research university. That's very unique in the world. And that's a big competitive advantage for this country.
Yeah. The first time I heard you speak on campus, you talked about how we need to come together and address the world's problems and the value of international collaboration. Can you speak to that?
Sure. Look, as you heard me say before, we in the 21st century face very significant challenges as a planet, as a society, whether it's climate change or pandemics or global geopolitical instability. We cannot solve those problems alone. I mean, science, research, technology evolves globally nowadays. Okay? That may not have been the case 70 years ago, but it is the case today. And so we cannot attempt to solve the big challenges that we face as a planet because we're not isolated. We don't live in isolation. Water is a big issue in Arizona, but water is a big issue all around the world. Just to give you an example, right? So we cannot solve these challenges without international collaboration, without partnerships around the world. It's absolutely essential that we understand the needs, the requirements, how to impact not just our local communities, but society overall around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm thinking about the value of our international students, whether they stay here, return to their home countries. They can be our lifelong collaborators, especially in different contexts and how we think, perceive the data, the specimens, the equipment, the way we analyze. I mean, in so many different ways, that collaboration can go across multiple strands of research. And I think there's some great examples throughout the institution. Any that particular that come to mind?
When I was at Purdue University and then later on at University of Oklahoma, we established, President Gary Mellon and I established a partnership in Peru and a new institute there called the Nexus Institute. Nexus referred to the nexus of energy, food, and water. And it was an institute that essentially partnered 60 or 70 faculty members at Purdue with a couple of universities back in Peru, in the Andes, in the Andean region, in Arequipa, that, and what we were doing was through those partnerships, trying to create research capacity in the country of Peru so that they could solve these big challenges that they face because of water contamination, because of climate change, because of agricultural practices that were outdated with indigenous communities in the Andes. And we could help them learn how to do the research that would then lead to positive impacts on their communities. And that was one of the most rewarding things I have done.
Well, I'm sure that must have really garnered the interest of faculty in Purdue who may not have otherwise thought about Peru as such an important partner. And imagine that also helped build capacity in the U.S. as well. Were there some benefits beyond the capacity in Peru?
There were tremendous benefits. I mean, there was honestly, I think the feel-good benefit of, you're helping another community, another country advance and help their communities live better lives. But also, I think for the faculty at Purdue University at the time, they learned so much. Traveling to Peru, going into the field there and learning about water irrigation and the issues with mining and how to interact with the Quechua communities. It was a very interdisciplinary effort because it wasn't just about environmental scientists and experts in water and agriculture. It was sociologists and anthropologists and humanists because we needed to understand the context, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't just about bringing solutions. It's how do you bring solutions with the local community is going to benefit from and accept, right?
Yeah.
And so it was a very rewarding time.
Having collaborated with researchers abroad, one of the things that you didn't mention that I've personally benefited was I saw the world differently, right? Seeing the problem from the perspective of another country in many ways inspires new research questions. And
yes, it does.
I'm sure that may have been the case for you and in your collaborators.
Yes, definitely the case.
So given such a wealth of experiences, what do you hope to bring to the University of Arizona? I'm sure you've already started.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the University of Arizona has incredible capabilities and resources for research. It's already a very international university, already doing work around the world. I think what I want to bring is sort of that deep understanding of the importance of partnering with countries around the globe to advance the human condition, right? And I think the examples that I've given, the things I have done in the past, together with the amazing things that are going on at the university already, really bring us the opportunity to keep growing our impact globally, right? We are very near, from the border with Mexico. We have tremendous opportunities to work in partnership with countries like Mexico, in Latin America, in the Caribbean. I'm very involved in partnerships around those countries still today. I hope to bring that to the university, some of my connections and some of the experiences to reproduce some of those same programs in other countries. But also, as you look towards the Pacific, the South Pacific, towards the Indo-Pacific areas, India and other countries, and how do we build these research partnerships that create allies, that create common goodwill around the world for, and friendships that are sustainable over time.
So in my role as a senior international officer, and we know the university has an important land grant mission, and sometimes people might find them at odds. Maybe we shouldn't engage internationally because we need to focus on the people of Arizona and contributing to the growth of Arizona. How would you address that? Where does international possibly fit in with our land grant mission?
I think it fits perfectly with the land grant mission because the problems that we face as a planet, as we said before, they are Arizona problems, but they're also global problems.
Yep.
Whether it is the environment or climate change or water or heat and drought and fires, and those problems are global. And what we can learn from working with the international community can be directly translated to the issues that we deal here in Arizona. And so I think we have a lot to offer to the world, but we also have a lot to learn from the world. And I think it's through that interaction, right, that we can really serve the people of Arizona better. It's by learning from others, finding out different ways of thinking about problems, even learning from solutions that others are implementing around the world that maybe we haven't thought about and could have a big impact on our communities. So I think it's a very symbiotic relationship, right? I don't think you can be really good at impacting Arizona without a good understanding of the world and a good sort of partnerships globally on the same kinds of problems. And I don't think you can solve global challenges, without doing the land grant mission in Arizona and applying that, what we learn here, to other parts of the world.
I think in short, it's to say that knowledge is borderless. We can't really border discovery, especially when it comes to common problems throughout the world. So thanks for your response. I'm going to quote you in some brochure in the future. That was really well said. So again, I'm not a scientist. I've been here for 21 years. I recently learned that we have quite an impressive number of assets at the institution for the public to even visit, members of the campus community. What areas would you point someone to just to get a sense of our research enterprise?
Well, the first place I would point them to is this museum. Research is also about the creative arts. It's about the human condition. It's not just about physics and engineering and astronomy. It really is everything together. And when you have places like this, museums like this, you can really learn so much. You can get inspired and you can learn so much. So I would certainly point people to the Arizona Museum of Art, to the Center for Creative Photography, to the Poetry Center, so many places that we have on this campus that are just inspiring from a scholarly perspective. But also we have incredible assets when it comes to astronomy and astrophysics and optics and engineering and all kinds of amazing buildings and capabilities that, in large part because of the success of the faculty, as world-class researchers, but also because the state of Arizona is very supportive of the research infrastructure at the university. That really sets this university apart. We rank among the top 20 in the country on public universities in research. We are a big research enterprise with huge impact on our communities, on society, on the entire planet. Those capabilities, those assets that we have are hard to reproduce anywhere else.
Yeah.
Really unique.
Well, since you didn't mention it, I'll give a shout out to our relatively new applied research building. Of course, we have the Biosphere, the Mirror Lab, and so much more. And I know that these are relatively new, big investments just to build that building structure and capacity for even more innovation.
Absolutely. If you look at the applied research building, there are not very many universities anywhere in the world that have the facilities that are inside that building, the thermal vacuum chambers and for testing satellites and the ability to build satellites there and test everything. It is very unique for an academic enterprise.
So we'd like to conclude every interview series with just some fun questions so people can get to know you more in a lighthearted way. We talked about some heavy stuff, but also some trivial stuff. So if you can eat, I'm a foodie, so if you can eat anything every day, not from the U.S., whether from your home country or another place, what's a go-to dish for you?
Paella. Seafood paella. And I cook it myself.
So you got the big fry can
big pan
and proper rice.
Get all the seafood and the proper rice and the saffron and everything else. It's so much fun.
Nice.
It's fun to make and it's fun to eat. But also, I grew up in Spain. Spain is a country of a lot of wine. And so wine is my other favorite food.
So I know you've traveled all over the world. So this may be a hard question. And I know it's, again, just the first place that comes to mind. So we won't offend people that are watching. But out of all the places you've been to, if there's a place that you would especially like to go back, where would that place be?
Back to Spain.
Of course. Anywhere in particular?
Yeah, back to where I grew up. Where I grew up is a region of Spain called Asturias. It's up in the northwest part of Spain. It's very green, mountains, ocean. It's beautiful. I mean, it's just a beautiful part of the world. And every time I can, that's where I go back.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how about if there are places that you haven't been to, any place that you would look forward to going in the future?
I haven't been to India, and I really want to go. That's a place where, I have had the opportunity to go several times. For one reason or another, the trip didn't happen. That's a place that I'm looking forward to visiting in the future.
Okay, well, we have a plan now.
We have a plan.
Go
That's
together.
right. That's
great.
right.
Well, thank you, Tomás. It's been such a pleasure getting to know you more.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you so much for the time, and it's been a lot of fun. Look forward to all the things that we can do with our international students and international engagement in research and everything else.
Absolutely.
Thank you.